Hey, what's up? Happy New Year, guys. It's your boy KLA Cloud the Wonder. We're about to give it to you once again. I got my first guest of the new year. Her name is Lee Keyrouz.
Keyrouz.
K. Oh man, I'm sorry for
That's fine.
yeah, I'm sorry, K. Ruz. That's a nice name, K. Ruz.
Lebanese, yeah.
K. Ruz. Oh, you Lebanese?
No, my husband is.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're from the UK,
No, I'm
obviously.
from Africa.
Say that again.
No, I'm from South Africa. I live in the UK.
Oh,
I live in the UK
oh,
2 years, but I'm actually South African.
oh, wow, wow. What made you what made you move to from the UK? I
Um,
mean from South Africa, I'm sorry.
moved to the UK just for safety. Like being able to walk on the streets, not having to live in a prison, having power every single day. Not having like
Right.
no power and no water. So third world
Yeah,
country problems.
yeah. Only thing about South Africa I know about is Nelson Mandela and apartheid and
Yeah,
that's about it. You know,
yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, I did do a little research on you, and you started bodybuilding at the age of 26.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Could you like explain to like the viewers like how you made that leap?
Oh, I mean, so I was 26. It was 2014, so 9 years ago. And I had recovered from cervical cancer, and I was severely underweight. So I weighed 38 kilograms at the time. And I just needed to change my life around because I was eating like crap and I was really unhealthy. And it was kind of like, okay, well, you've got the second lease on life. You might as well actually embrace it and live properly and, you know, change your trajectory and make your life a little bit healthier. And so I started dieting and eating correctly and started training. And in the beginning, I was literally just training at home, body weight training. And the goal was a pull up. And it kind of snowballed from there, being able to do one pull up, then two. And then I met someone who was into bodybuilding. And, I kind of like looked at her and go, well, if she's doing it, how hard can this be? Uh, you know, as one does without any concept of what is involved or anything like that. You're looking from an outsider's perspective. And then, it kind of just snowballed from there. My first competition, I came third, and I was in bikini at the time. And yeah, the rest is kind of like history. But yeah, I mean, that was the reason I got into fitness in the beginning.
Yeah. What was like the process like for you? Like because bodybuilding it's like you said, it's not an easy, I would say, discipline or sport, and like just even understanding it, even for myself, it took me a while to kind of like take in certain things like starvation or prep, and how was that like for you when you first started out?
Well, I mean, I'm a very disciplined person by nature and I'm extremely competitive. So I wasn't too phased about what was involved in terms of punishing my body or, the starvation or pushing myself because I could see the end goal or, I could see where I wanted to be and I was willing to do whatever it took to kind of get there. So if it meant I was hungry all day, every single day, whilst I cut or built or whatever, then it didn't phase me. Obviously, I was coming from very, very lean or low body fat. Not sorry, neither one of those. I was coming from underweight, so it wasn't necessarily starving in the beginning because I weighed so little. I had to put on muscle mass in the beginning, so it wasn't necessarily starvation in the beginning. It was putting on muscle mass. And for me, putting on muscle mass is far harder than the cut necessarily is. I can cut more effectively than I can build. Usually, you're one or the other. You're either a really good builder or you're a really good cutter. And I tend to be on the cutting side. I can effectively cut, but putting on muscle mass was definitely the hardest part. Especially when I first started in bikini, I was doing show after show after show after show. The second year that I competed, so 2015, I did 15 shows. So that was literally no downtime, literally just comp after comp after comp. But when you're in bikini at the level that I was, you're not doing dehydrations, you're not doing all those lead ups to comp, so it wasn't so harsh on the system as necessarily the higher when you're more serious about it and you have to literally dial in. Yeah, so that was one of those kind of learn as I went and progress and teach myself the ropes because I didn't have a coach. So it was all kind of just like trial and error and figuring out my body and what responded best and how to approach everything.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So you was like in bikini, and then you just, well, you got tired of bikini, like you just felt like you wanted to move up to bodybuilding.
No, no. I started in bikini, and obviously as I progressed, I put on more muscle mass. And the biggest limiting factor for me in bikini was the abs. I have very prominent abs, no matter, even if I'm at like 14, 15, 16% body fat, I have very prominent abs. And the criteria for bikini is like, just the two lines on the outside, not necessarily a very well defined and developed six pack. So I essentially out trained bikini. Like they literally told me you're getting too defined, you're too big, you're too muscular for bikini. The one thing about South Africa is they tend to be a little bit behind the rest of the world in terms of the judging criteria. So, for example, if you're in physique, so like with the wellness figure kind of category in South Africa, that would be like bikini in other countries. And if
Okay.
you're in bikini, like that would be like beach bikini, very, very soft in other countries. So they tend to judge down a little bit. So I was looking at international girls, pro level girls, and going, well, I want to look like that, and I would get judged down because they're like, no, 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 on an amateur level, you're not supposed to look like a professional. And I was obviously looking at the professionals and going, well, I really want to look like that. So I ended up training myself out of bikini. And then I
Oh,
tried figure. But of course, I've got a very thick waist. And for figure, you needed, like a 24-inch waist, and shoulders like boulders, and then a tiny, tiny little waist. So my figure and my physique didn't go well with figure. I tried figure for a little bit, I just didn't, and I was too hard, too defined again for figure. So I ended up moving into women's physique, which is where I got my pro card.
oh, so it mostly was like you was like Goldilocks, like in that situation, like
Yeah, yeah. So I just ended up in women's physique, though I do think for me that is my favorite category is women's physique.
so you started bodybuilding in South Africa, and okay,
So
because not because I thought like you were just from the UK and stuff. I just like in my mind I'm like thinking she probably like have you interacted with other bodybuilders since you've been in the UK, like Lisa Cross or Louise Plum or anything like that?
I've done some stuff with Ruby Muscle. I don't know if you know Ruby
Yeah,
Muscle.
yeah, I've talked to her before. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've done stuff with her. Um, I have not done Lisa Cross. Um, yeah, I've done Ruby Muscle, and yeah, that's about it really for female bodybuilders. Yeah,
Yeah, because the UK, they don't really have like their percentage of bodybuilders is kind of limited. It's not that many bodybuilders like
No,
that there,
and
from what I understand.
it's a huge market compared to either the European or, of course, the American market's the biggest market for bodybuilding.
How's competition for you in have I take it you competed in the UK.
I got my pro card in 2019 in the UK. I was still living in South Africa, but I came
Okay.
to get my pro card. So in 2018, I came second in a Two Bros Pro show. And then the following year, I got my pro card in another Two Bros Pro show. So at the time, there were no pro cards being given out in South Africa. You couldn't actually even earn a pro card in South Africa. So in order to get your pro card for NPC IFBB, you had to go across to another country and win in another country and overalls in order to get it.
Okay. Well, we got our guest Rolando G. Morning, Clyde, and great to see the lovely Lee. Well, he's trying to say your name. You look fantastic. Yeah, and you do. I seen your pictures and stuff. Showcase some pictures, and and so you do a lot of photo shoots.
I do a few every now and then. I need to do more, but
Yeah,
I have not done in a few months. I like the effects on the pictures. They're cool.
yeah. I had to do that because I don't want to get into it with YouTube and stuff. I can age restrict it, but YouTube there's very I have to be very careful with it. So I just had to be creative with it. Did like a little AI effects. I did like this type. I do like your pictures. I'm not gonna lie, but I had to be careful because if you do CrossFit also, that's cool.
Yeah, so I did CrossFit for about 2 years. I have stopped doing CrossFit simply because it's just too much. To
Yeah, yeah,
I trained when I was competitively doing CrossFit. I was training for 6 to 8 hours a day, um, every single day, or 5 days a week, and my body just wasn't recovering. And I got to the point
mm,
where I was like, well, why am I even doing this? I'm not enjoying it. I'm not recovering. It's soul destroying, kind of. I'm just getting injuries at this point. So I did, I did take a step back from CrossFit at this point in time.
what made you want to do it?
Um, just like a change in focus, really, I suppose. So I got my pro card in 2019, and then I did some powerlifting, and I got some international records in powerlifting. Um, and then it was kind of like, okay, what's a new goal? And I was actually going to start prepping for my pro debut, and then of course COVID hit and lockdown, and you're kind of like, with limited weights, what can you actually do? And that's when my brother actually suggested CrossFit, because he'd always been into CrossFit, and he was like, well, you don't need a lot of weight for CrossFit. And then in a week, I had taught myself to handstand walk, and I was like, I watched the CrossFit Games, a few events and whatnot, and I was like, well, that doesn't look too difficult. Why not give it a go? And that kind of became my new goal. So in the first year, I was the strongest in the front squat in the world. So I won that event, and then I came first in Africa, and then yeah. And then second year, I also came first in Africa. And then the last year I moved into Masters because I'm old. So I moved into the Masters division last year, and I came 11th in the world. But yeah, after that, I was just like, you know, moving into Masters, there's no recognition. Um,
Right,
if you're in the open division, there's a lot more hype and publicity and whatnot. But as a masters athlete in CrossFit, the CrossFit themselves don't even market the masters. There's no marketing, there's no publicity, there's no recognition. as a masters athlete. So I was kind of like, I'm literally torturing myself here for no reason whatsoever. And I stopped enjoying it. My heart wasn't in it. So um,
Yeah.
I felt like, okay, well, I've kind of achieved what I wanted to, which was being the best in the world, or within the top 0.1%. And it's kind of like, okay, well, let me find a new goal now. So I'm very much one of those. I'm goal orientated, and I will give 100% to whatever I'm focused on, and even if that means the detriment of my own health, which tends to happen, and that's what tend to happen with the CrossFit. It's literally like I was
Oh, wow.
breaking in all sorts of ways, so I just took a step back.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I try to do like the handstand and stuff, and I do I used to do calisthenics a lot, but I kind of stopped
Okay.
and did different other stuff.
Yeah,
But
I'm actually started doing calisthenics now. I'm loving it. It's so much fun. So that's kind of like my new focus. Is
yeah,
calisthenics. It gives me a little bit more time to actually do work and make money, and then have a side goal of fitness. Whereas with CrossFit, I was literally like sacrificing work and money and income for nothing. So now I have a new goal, and a new passion and a new focus, and I can actually make money and work.
yeah. Have you ever heard of freestyle calisthenics?
Yes, I I I I don't think I would do freestyle calisthenics simply
Yeah,
because I like slow and controlled movements, and that I really figured that out during CrossFit. Like, I am not one for fast and explosive, so like cardio and all those things I just do not function well with. So if I did do calisthenics, I'm looking into two categories. The first one is strength, obviously. So you have to do like a max pull up, a max dip, a max muscle up, and a max squat. So similar to powerlifting, but just slightly different elements. And then there's also one which is like static skills. But yeah, right now I'm just kind of enjoying it, and I'm not too focused on one specific thing besides just you know having fun.
yeah. I was still kind of learning about that because I interviewed a young lady not too long ago, and she do freestyle calisthenics
Okay,
and
that's
stuff.
fascinating.
Yeah, she do like the the muscle up and she like twirls around the pole and all this stuff and yeah, like I'm like, wow, that's very impressive. Like I noticed it because I know from what I understand, it started like in New York and stuff, and then
Okay.
like in 2007, and yeah, it's some things I'm still learning about, So I know like people like in Europe they do it also. She told me that, and she was traveling and stuff like that. So yeah,
Okay. I'm still learning too, so we can learn together.
yeah. Rolando G, I hear CrossFit is no joke. The constant movement and that one where they do the rope real fast. I seen it's rigorous. I hear.
It is.
Yeah,
It is. It's not a joke. There's a lot of hatred between the bodybuilding and the CrossFit community. Like,
yeah,
CrossFitters hate bodybuilders and bodybuilders hate CrossFitters, and it's so funny. And there's so much politics, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna do what I enjoy, until I don't enjoy it anymore, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, respect to CrossFitters, um, but yeah, I decided I just don't like cardio enough to put myself and my soul through it anymore. Yeah, but and I prefer static, slow, and being strong. And I sacrificed a lot of strength getting into CrossFit because strength isn't a strength. It's not a priority. Like, you want to be okay strength wise, but you don't want to be super super strong because obviously if you think about it, if you're a power lifter, you're not fit, right? You're not going to be running marathons as a powerlifter because you
Right.
don't you don't want to put so much effort into your fitness that it takes strength away from you. Um, so, like with CrossFit, essentially, you want to be average at everything. You want to be good, but not so great that it pulls something else out of alignment. So, if you're really, really strong, you're not going to be really, really fit. So, you bring your strength down to bring your fitness up so that everything's on a level playing field. And I could never do that. I could never get my strength down enough to bring my fitness up enough to kind of
Mm,
meet in the middle. Um, so it was always kind of like slanted. And CrossFit is very, very fitness orientated. So if you've got a naturally, so obviously you've got fast twitch muscle fibers and slow twitch muscle fibers, and coming from a power bodybuilding powerlifting foundation, I have a lot of slow twitch muscle fibers. And so everything slow and powerful and strength wise, I'm predominantly good at or better at. Whereas anything really explosive and fast, I just suck at. And so, someone who's obviously coming from a fitness background, someone like soccer or hockey or something like that, somebody who has that fitness background, they're going to have a lot of fast twitch muscle fibers. So they're going to be naturally, even with little to minimum exercise, they're still going to have that fitness foundation. And that's what I found. I trained with another lady, and she was from a hockey background, and she was just, with no effort whatsoever. She was fitter than I was, and I was training my fitness 5 days a week. So she could literally walk in and with no running or rowing or anything like that, she was still fitter than me. So it was one of those, in order for me to get even fitter, which was just average, I had to give a lot of my strength, and literally my back squat went down 100 kilograms
mm.
in order to get my fitness up. And even then, like my 5K at the best was 23 minutes, which is just not good enough. The girls are running sub 20 minutes, and I just couldn't get them without giving a lot more effort into the running, which I just didn't enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I seen like some of your clips, like on YouTube and stuff, and you doing your thing with that, doing pull-ups and handstands and stuff. I do have like I did put like together a little highlight film for you,
Oh,
so you
awesome.
want to check it out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was impressed with that. Like with especially you do the one arm push-ups and stuff like that and pull-ups. Cause I used to try to do that too. Like, yeah, this guy, he had me do like a certain way. I had to like pull push my like my right arm, cause I would mostly do it with my right arm and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Then I would try to do it like without like. At first I started out with two, but
Okay.
then I just kind of like try to like pull myself as much further I can and
Okay.
stuff. Yeah, but I stopped at one point. Yeah, So,
Yeah.
but
No.
yeah, like, huh?
No. Continue.
Nah, yeah, I stopped at one point. I just kind of did other things. So yeah,
Yeah. It's really fun. I think like you've just got to have variety and different goals, and I truly believe goals is everything. Like it gives you that focus wherever you're at, and for now it's kind of like I'm I'm I've cut down a little bit after the CrossFit because for CrossFit, yeah, I had to have a slight surplus of body fat in order to be is optimally efficient within training. So I've lost about 6-7 kilograms, dropped my body fat a little bit, so feeling a bit better about my aesthetics, while still focusing on getting my strength back up because I would love to get my strength right back up. So I've actually just started a new strength block. So literally today was day one on my strength block. So I would love to get a lot of my numbers right up as high as possible, really rack them up. And then do a little bit of caddy with the strength program. So yeah, I'm doing a bit of everything at the moment.
how many days you work out?
So I train 5 days a week. That's like the max. I've learned that I just need that recovery twice a week. So middle of the
Yeah.
week, Wednesday or Thursday, I take a day off, and then Sunday is my second day off.
Okay, cool. Miss Lee, you have great quads. Your abs look sensational. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have like a impressive physique. Are you still focusing on bodybuilding more or
So obviously not in a competitive aspect, but I still like the aesthetics, and I'm very conditioned in terms of my diet. So I do stick to a very strict diet year round. I meal prep all my meals. So in terms of the bodybuilding lifestyle, I'm still very much intertwined within it. I think it's just become second nature after so many years of bodybuilding that I just meal prep and eat a strict diet year round. Like literally 5 years ago and tomorrow, I can tell you exactly what my diet will be because it doesn't change. Um, so in that regard, I am very much intertwined within bodybuilding still, but on a competitive level, actually stepping on stage, I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon, simply because, like when you start pushing yourself to that final finishing point, like I would have to drop another probably 10 kilograms on my
yeah,
physique in order to feel good enough and to get my body fat lean enough for stage. And right now, I just feel like it's not in the cards, health wise or otherwise, to get on stage. But I'm just focusing on my physique, liking what I see, because that's another thing. When you get into that competitive aspect of bodybuilding, you stop
yeah,
liking everything about your physique. Like you become so
yeah,
high focused on every single element within your physique that you can never love it, you can never appreciate it because you're so
yeah,
analytical of every point. Like, are my shoulders big enough? Is my waist small enough? Are my quads, symmetrical, etc., etc., etc.? There's so many little details within bodybuilding, and like that's where body dysmorphia comes into play. And I don't have body dysmorphia, but when I was in bodybuilding, I was never happy with my physique because
mm,
I was constantly trying to be better, and that's important for bodybuilding. You need to constantly want to improve and be better. And it stops you from enjoying the process. It stops you from appreciating your progress. It stops you from appreciating what you look like because you're constantly hyper focused on my waist isn't small enough, my lats aren't big enough, my shoulders aren't round enough, you know. So I'm not in that mental state where I'm ready to kind of commit to analyzing my physique to that degree right now again.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard it from some people. I mean, bodybuilding, it's really a tough sport. I don't know how. I mean, for me, I was just curious. I would, kind of like there was a time, I wanted to look kind of like have that physique and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's tough. Yeah, not everybody can do it. That's the simple way to say it. Because even just understanding it, it took me like it's still taking time, just to understand certain things, like um, like in the competition with the points and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean it's it's funny because it's not like a sport that people talk about. You know,
I mean, I would classify it more as a lifestyle than necessarily a sport because
yeah,
it's about your lifestyle, more
right.
necessarily a skill set. So for me, I look at bodybuilding as a lifestyle because it is what you do every single day that gets you onto stage. It's the discipline of doing things every single day in order to get to stage. You know, like bodybuilding is just discipline. To me, it's just 100% discipline. Are you disciplined enough to stick to your diet? Are you disciplined enough to, you know, when I was competing, I was getting up in 3 in the morning, 3 a.m. every morning, in order to do an hour of fasted cardio and then have a rest before I did my bodybuilding training, so that by 9 a.m. I had already done my training and my cardio. Then I could literally just do my clients, work through the day from 9:30 till 4 5, and I was in bed by 8. Um, and that was my lifestyle during bodybuilding. It was literally just like focused discipline, meal prep, and to a degree I still do all of that. I'm still 100% focused, and that's where I think a lot of people kind of go, oh well, how do you get those abs? And it's like, well, diet. It's low body fat. That's what diet. I mean, obviously genetics, as in how they look and the insertion points, comes down to genetics. But having visible abs comes down to body fat. And, are you willing to get your body fat, overall body fat down enough to reveal those abs? Because obviously you can't spot reduce body fat. You can just lose body fat overall and hopefully get low enough body fat in order to reveal your abs. So,
And
yeah.
what do you do like outside of bodybuilding? Are you like a fitness trainer or
Yeah, so I'm a personal trainer. That's my kind of like um the thing that I say to most people. So I'm a I'm a personal trainer and then I'm a content creator as well.
oh yeah, yeah, okay. Rolando G. Lee Uh, Lee K, you are so right. The bodybuilding life is a lifestyle. You have to have the discipline and mental mind state. I thought at one point I did because looking at all the greats like Arnold. Yeah. He also writes, Lee, you have a point. I think most female bodybuilders I can tell may have that attitude. They're not always not impressed with their last show and the previous look. You making the right choice. Yeah, like a lot of like I know a lot of the judges they critique the bodybuilders and stuff, and sometimes it can be discouraging. There's bodybuilders, they quit, they stop, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean, I think the one thing that I don't like about bodybuilding, and it's it's nothing against it, and it's just my personal preference. Is kind of like the goal is a variable. So winning is variable. It depends on so many variables. There is no kind of like one set kind of focus. So like if you're doing powerlifting, okay, if I hit 110 or 210 kilogram deadlift, I'm going to win. Like if I pick it up with the correct technique, I fully extend, I lock out, and I don't drop the bar and I put it back down again, I am going to win, right?
mm,
Finishing claw. Like that is powerlifting. Like you know the outcomes, if you do everything right, you are going to win. Like obviously
right,
there's a variable of who's going to compete on the day and what they're going to lift. But when you're there and you're seeing their lifts and you're like, yeah, I can outlift them, sweet, you're going to win. Whereas with bodybuilding, there are so many variables. It's kind of like you could be your best. You could literally show up and be your 100% best, but your best doesn't define what they are looking for on the day.
right,
It depends on what the other girls look like. So if the other girls are big, if the overall lineup is bigger girls, obviously they're going to judge accordingly. If the overall lineup is smaller girls, they're going to judge accordingly. And who's the judges of the day, what are they looking for on that day? There are so many variables. It's not necessarily who like a specific look that they're going for, because it seems to constantly vary depending on the day and the girls and who's judging and what they look for. So there's so many variables within bodybuilding, and that's the thing that frustrates me a bit sometimes. Is kind of like, like they're all the girls look amazing, and it's so hard because, like, if you look at Natalia Cuela and Sarah, I mean, they're both phenomenal. To me, they're the best of the best. How do you distinguish between first and second place? Like,
right,
like, so one year they decided to go slightly softer, and they awarded Natalia because they said that Sarah's glutes were too striated. And this year, vice versa. It's like, okay, so you're literally nitpicking, and you don't know what the judges are going to nitpick on and decide what is better and what is worse and what they're looking for and what they're deciding to, what message they're trying to portray to the rest of the community. Because obviously the rulings of the Olympia falls down to the other shows. So if they award the Olympia girl with a certain look, they're dictating, okay, we're going harder or softer or more striated or less striated. So then it falls down to the other competitions thereafter. But it's a variable, and I love bodybuilding and I love the discipline and I love that I got into it, and maybe I'll compete again. But that was the one thing that always was kind of like, I don't know what they're looking for and
right.
therefore what I need to bring, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of bodybuilding fans they get disappointed because certain people with a with that beautiful aesthetic, they don't place high enough, and so I get it, but it's not, it's very complicated, just still like I still try to figure out, me, what bodybuild female bodybuilders, it's more of like me, like I'm more of an admirer, I
Yeah,
just, yeah,
yeah,
and sometimes it can be a fetish for me, just just admiring, because I do make content, like I'll make like video slides or video reels put together like you seen and stuff,
yeah,
and I'll showcase it to bodybuilding fans and stuff like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I noticed that you do like kinky stuff, like
Well, yeah, it's my bread and butter. It's one of the things that I do for income. Yeah.
Yeah, it's some of it like I see some clips where you kind of peg a guy as one of the one of the guys in the clips.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, like I do a number of different things, but I
Yeah.
mean, you know, I'm a female bodybuilder, so it's kind of like, what can I do with my muscles and what do guys appreciate or girls
Yeah.
appreciate? So,
Yeah. I download like videos and stuff like that. I do like the session wrestling and stuff, and like last year I attended this event where I met Ruby Muscle
okay.
and stuff. Yeah, and it's called Velvet Row. It's in New York City and stuff. Yeah, and this lady, she was the bodybuilder. Her name was Michelle. Her name's Michelle Fostita, and she competed like in the late '90s to the 2000s and stopped.
Okay.
And so she like over the years she started this session wrestling
Okay.
events. She
Okay.
changed it like she changed it. She kind of reinvented certain things over the
Okay.
years. So yeah, I've always kind of had a thing with women with muscles and just getting excited about them and stuff. So yeah. But like I think just like I remember I was watching like this documentary and Brian Gumbel. I don't know if you're familiar with Brian Gumbel, but he's like a journalist, and he was like interviewing bodybuilders about like they don't get paid enough and they do this sport, and do people judge you like in terms of you got muscles or anything like that?
What what did I look like a man?
Yeah, like that, like masculine. I wouldn't say look like a man, but masculine, if I could say that.
I get that all the time. I mean, I get, are you transgender? You look like a man. Why would you do that to yourself? And the funny thing is, I mean, like when I was thin, people would always obviously say, "Oh, you're really skinny. You need to eat a sandwich, etc., etc." And then, but I was very, very, very self-conscious and very, aware of what other people thought. And I didn't feel feminine, and I had no self-confidence. And then, of course, I got into bodybuilding, and it's only recently that I've gotten more and more confident. And, like I'm 35 now, and now I'm finally like really, really confident, and I feel the most feminine I've ever felt and the most sexual I've ever, looked. And I'm like, you know what? I think I look feminine. So fuck you. Sorry, I swore. Um, but it is one of those, like you can't constantly worry about what other people think, because their opinions will always be there, and they don't necessarily validate you, um, or what you look like. That's their
Right.
opinion. And it took me a very, very long time to get to a point where I was okay with people saying negative and harsh things, and being okay with it and not letting it get to me and not letting it hurt me. And it is hard being in female bodybuilding because you have that negative association, and people will always judge you and say, "Oh, you look like a man," and like you need to shave, and you've got an Adam's apple, and you sound like a man, and it's kind of like, okay, but I'm not in a relationship with you, and I don't need your validation, and I think I look nice. As vain as that sounds, I'm actually happy with the way I look. And it's taken me a really long time to get to that point where I can say I'm okay with the way I look. I may not be, Victoria's Secret's model, and I may not be voluptuous, but you know, I like the way I look. I'm okay with what I see in the mirror, and that's, I think, a very, very hard thing to do in this day and age, is to actually be okay with the way you look.
Right. I mean, there was a point where, it like in the 80s and stuff, it seemed like because of Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno, they started kind of accepting women with muscles and stuff like that. But even at that era, like, I remember they used to be in talk shows, and some people would be real mean to the women and stuff like that. So, after a while you stop seeing that. You wouldn't see that in talk, you wouldn't see them in talk shows or anything like that. And it used to be interesting. It used to always catch my interest of seeing these women because I mean, you guys were like exciting to look at, like, especially like there's this magazine called Women's Physique World. I don't know, you familiar with that?
Yeah.
I used to get that magazine where right here in New York City.
Okay.
And I would love getting it because it would tell the stories of how they got into bodybuilding. And like they would see you would see like the photography of the aesthetics of the female bodybuilders. They even had like a back page where you see their back and stuff.
Yeah.
It was really nice. And like after a while, it was on it wasn't in like in the newsstands. It was online and stuff. You could get it online. And so but you stop seeing in newsstands. And you don't you don't it does. The popularity, it just went down. So yeah. So but I mean, you're married. I mean, like, your husband is satisfied with you, so I think that's what counts. Yeah, Rolando, gee, you look feminine to me, Lee. I think female bodybuilders are the most sensual looking women. You are women, especially the way you are shaped and your aesthetic. I know you're a woman, and I, heterosexual man, you are women. What thing about me, sometimes I have mixed feelings with you guys because like it's not everybody, but like especially when you try to reach out, you don't really get that love from a lot of them because they feel that they don't know. It's a lot of different reasons. Sometimes they don't respond to you. Some do. Some stand. You get stood up by some of them and stuff, and it's not really helping the situation.
Yeah.
But I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you and
Pleasure.
stuff.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for asking.
no doubt. All right, folks. That's it. Thanks for coming, and best luck to you in the New Year's.
Thank you very
Miss.
much to you as well, and to
All
everyone.
right.